Let's take a look at the current standings for the U.S. team. Brian Harman moving all the way up to third. The top 6 in the final standings earning automatic spots. That comes after the BMW. Interesting here, Brooks Koepka right now qualifying on points. What happens if he drops out of the top 6? And again, 6 captain's picks for Zach Johnson.
A lot of captain's picks.
A lot of captain's picks.
Different arrowhead.
There's a reason for that, and we'll just let that fly. Ryder Cup standings for the Europeans. They have a slightly different system, European points and world points. To your point earlier, George, tell me how this team is supposed to be such a severe underdog to the United States squad. Sepp Straka, by the way, tying for second at the Open, so he's putting himself in very good position. Fleetwood, Hatton, Hovland, these are some...
Well, not pictured. Shane Lowry, right? I mean, the Højgaard twins, like they've been talking about, it's going to be, by the time they have their team finalized, you're going to look at it and say, wow, that's a pretty stout European team they've put together, because the assumption was, and rightly so, with you look at the world rank from 1 to 20, boom, that's basically all your American team. You're going to have 12 guys probably inside the top 20 or 25 in the world.
Right. What do you think is going to happen? Let's just assume, for the sake of argument, that Koepka drops out of the 6 automatic spots. It puts Zach Johnson in a very difficult position, obviously. But maybe it doesn't now with the recent news. What do you think happens with Koepka? Because he can't qualify. He's done earning points. That was his last chance, was the PGA Open Championship.
So you're asking me to read the Zach Johnson tea leaves?
I'm asking you to steal from his playbook, yes.
From the hints that he's been dropping, I think Zach wants the 12 strongest players for Team USA to win the Ryder Cup, regardless of what tour they're playing on. So if Koepka is at 7 or 8 and seems to have some semblance of form and doesn't have, say, a nagging injury or something where he'd either have to take himself out or he's banged up and there's some serious doubt in the shape that Koepka will be in, I personally would be very surprised, and given what Brooks has done previously in the Ryder Cup, that he wouldn't be a part of that team in Rome. And with how conciliatory Brooks has been with his public messaging and how he's handled himself in majors, he hasn't been a guy to denigrate the PGA Tour and guys on the tour on his way out. I think there's still some fairly warm feelings with guys who will qualify for it with Brooks Koepka, even though they play on 2 different tours for most of the year. What do you think?
I don't see how he's not on the team. Unless, to your point, unless he gets hurt, unless something catastrophic and unpredictable happens, I don't see any way that he's not on the U.S. team.
Who's the favorite going to be in Rome?
Well, I think a lot happens between now and then. I mean, Zach Johnson had a good point, which was there are a lot of elevated events. Not a lot, but there are elevated events between now and the cutoff where somebody could make a big jump. And we just saw Brian Harman do it. There could be another Brian Harman lingering out there for the U.S. side or for the European side. So, to me, no one's a favorite yet. Paige, I'd like to get your opinion on this. If it ended today, if qualification ends today, who's the favorite at this Ryder Cup?
I think it's difficult to handicap. I would still lean towards the United States being the favorite, of course, on paper, as we always do. But as we know, going to Europe to play provides a different challenge. I think the bigger question mark is kind of at that bottom of the list. What is Zach going to do as it relates to picks? And I think when you look right now with Sam Burns sitting on the outside looking in, he's winner of the match play. This is a player that you know can compete in match play, but trending maybe in the wrong direction. I think you're going to have to start looking at matchups. In those 6 automatic picks, who are they going to match up best with? Who's going to provide the best teammate situation in those formats? I know they have so much data to lean on, but that's what I'm most curious about, is kind of at the bottom of the list. And some of those players that, like a Justin Thomas, that we've expected to be on Ryder Cups and President's Cups over the last several years, that may be on the outside looking in and seeking a pick.
Paige, I know you're very familiar with the markets out there. I would say the best bet we've seen in golf, Europe on home soil. Dating back to 93. Yeah. It's paid out in 97, 02, 6, 10, 14, 18. I mean, the drought stretches on and on. On paper, the Americans are always paper tigers based on the world rank. But when you have a team that's even somewhere near talent-wise, and you're playing at home, they just somehow find that magic each and every time where they get the fact that the drought is going to be 30 years when we start in Rome. It's mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. It's hard to believe, but, you know, those streaks do end sometimes.
I'm a Cubs fan, so I know.
It did.
I've lived it.
It did for you.